So I am way behind the curve on getting these out and getting a look at them because they have been out forever at this point. But you know what? We're going to take a look at them anyway because I have questions. Let's get into these. All right, welcome to another episode of Paul's Collectibles. If you're new to the channel, it's good to have you. Thanks for stopping by and giving me a shot. Or if you're one of my subscribers or somebody who's been checking out my videos for quite a while, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much. Today, we're going to be taking a look at two more of the vintage collection Star Wars figures from the latest wave that was recently released. This time, Bib Fortuna and the Mythrol. Now, you've already seen these in a video. You most likely have them, and heck, you probably saw them in stores because they actually got this wave into stores as well. And I just procrastinated, and life and the holidays got in the way, and I'm just now getting around to opening up the case that was sent to me from Entertainment Earth and getting a look at the last few figures in this wave. So, like I said, you've seen them, but we're going to go over them because that's what we do here at Paul's Collectibles, but especially because I have two specific questions about each of these figures that I'd like to get some comments on if it's at all possible. So let's skip right ahead, get these things in front of some lights, and see what I'll be adding to my Star Wars action figure collection today. Okay, so let's start off with my man, the Mythrol here. Now that is an excellent looking card back, and they have, in my opinion, especially with these newer card backs, done a really good job of kind of evoking the essence of the character. And this guy's kind of shady, kind of timid, a little nervous. And so in his card, he's actually kind of looking off to the side, doesn't want to really look us down into the camera and into our eyes. And so I think that's great. And we've got the Star Wars, the Mandalorian logo up here, that deep green, the Mythrol name pill, and then the deep green background here. But that's a really good picture. It's nice and crisp. He's obviously at that console that we see him in second season, kind of looking off as I mentioned. And I like how they kept the background kind of grayish a little bit, so he really pops out of the card. And overall, I think that's a good card, good representation, and I like it. Well, let's get a good look at that figure. Okay, there's a really good up-close look at that Mythrol figure, and the first thing that pops out is, wow, look at all the accessories this guy comes with. He's got his bounty puck over here with the hologram coming out of the top of it. He's got that torch we saw him using to get into the Imperial compound. He's got his blaster, and he's got a set of binders, which I think are really cool. And as many of these characters are out there and people are finding them, you could probably just buy this character to get the binders to stick with your stormtroopers if you wanted to. But let's get over to the guy. And we're going to talk about the head a little bit more in a minute. I think it's a good sculpt. I think it accurately represents the actor that plays him, and it looks really good. And overall, great detail. There's even some really fine red detailing in there coming down to his jacket. They got the collar right, and wow, look at all the fine detail lines in it. His belt, the relief colors of the goldish type things they have on there, and coming on down. Overall, he's got, he looks like he's wearing like a leatherish jumpsuit type of thing, but they did a really good job of making that pretty interesting, quite frankly. But here's one of the first questions I have about this character. What's with his shiny, luminescent head here? So it looks like he's got like blue aluminum foil for a head, and his ears are almost too shiny as well when you look at them, and I'm a little confused as to what's going on there. So question number one, what is with the luminosity head here that does not match the character in any fashion? Why did they just go with standard bluish paint as opposed to whatever's going on here? And it actually ends up being a little greenish too, so it's kind of strange. And then my second question with this figure, why is he still being called the Mythrol? Now I get it if Mando doesn't know his real name or doesn't care to know his real name, but if you look at Star Wars lore, this guy has a real name, and it's been widely published, but we're still calling this guy the Mythrol. Any idea why they're doing that? Why wouldn't they just put his name on top of that? Your guess is as good as mine. I'd love to hear both of your suppositions in the comments below. And the Mythrol is VC222. Next up, we have Bib Fortuna from Star Wars The Return of the Jedi. That's obviously a photo taken from Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace because that's where he showed up. Got that beautiful classic logo there, the goldish yellow back name pill or background on the name pill that I really like, Bib Fortuna, same color behind him. And I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same card that they used for the vintage figure from back in the 70s and 80s. It's a pretty good one, kind of plain. I don't like the fact that they kind of just washed out the background there. It would have been nice to see some detail, but a good look at the character, and I think that's the most important thing that sometimes they miss on these. But let's get a good look at that guy. But there's an up-close look at Bib. Wow, he's just not an attractive man, is he? And when we saw him in the Book of Boba Fett, he was even less attractive, as he'd put on a couple of vanity pounds, is what I'd like to say it. The head sculpt on this, we're going to talk about that just like we did with the Mythrol, but once again, off the chain with the detail, just all of the relief colors and the two little things hanging down from his neck there, and the fact that they've wrapped his leku around his neck just like he did in the movie. Just a really good job on that. And take notice of the fact that they used a flat paint on that, because we're going to talk about that. Down here, soft goods rope, and they've gotten these robes so much better now because they're thinner and they don't puff all out, looking like they belong on a character 4 times the size. Great detail in the hands. His nails, I don't know if you can even see it on camera, they're a little greener or a little yellower than his hands are, so they have some relief color on the nails there. Just some overall great sculpting, great looking figures. These vintage collection figures are just really starting to outdo themselves, and frankly, giving the Black Series 6-inch figures a run for their money. Question number 1 though. Why, if you look in the picture, Bib's kind of an oily guy, okay? Can we all just admit that? Oily, both literally and metaphorically speaking. Why did they use such flat paint on there? Couldn't they have used something like they did with the Mythrol, where they shouldn't have used it? And what is with all the extra blue shadowing in here? It's all over the place. And I get it, maybe they were trying to put some relief colors on his head so things would pop. And it looks good, but it does not remind me of Bib Fortuna from back in the day. I don't remember him having blue all over him. So, what's with the blue? Why couldn't they use a more luminescent paint to show off his oiliness? And the other question I have while we have him up close is, look at this. What do you see in this bubble? Besides the figure, obviously. If your answer is nothing, then you'd be accurate. He doesn't get a scepter, a frog, a cup, nothing? I guess the Black Series guy came with some cups at least or something. And in his old school release, he got a scepter, which is now canon because we saw Bib Fortuna holding it in the Book of Boba Fett promo, but nothing in there. Did that upset you? Do you think that's kind of cheap for them to do that, even though this is such a good figure? I mean, it's still great to have. Or are you cool with it? And Bib Fortuna is VC 224. So there you have it. A quick look at the Mythrol from The Mandalorian and Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi. These have been out for weeks now. You've probably found them in stores and definitely seen videos on them now, but we still wanted to go over them and ask those 4 questions that I'd love to hear your answers to in the comments below if you're interested. But with that, I appreciate you joining me on this video, and I will see you on the next video.